Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the evergreens.
Well, hello. David Taub here, coming to you from nextlevelguitar.com. Hope all is well. What's up, good people? Hope everyone's rocking on. Today I want to talk about this. What this is an Epiphone Les Paul copy guitar, and we've been getting a lot of emails about, you know, Les Paul Gibson versus the Epiphone, and what are your thoughts and whatnot. And basically, this guitar is, let me give you a shot of the headstock, and you could see, okay, it's made in China, okay, and it has the Epiphone, but it has the Les Paul model, and this is the Les Paul standard Epiphone copy, and it's a pretty good guitar, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I like and what I don't like about this guitar, and just remember, these are just my opinions and my thoughts, okay? Because, you know, what it comes down with to guitars is what do you like, what feels best in your hands, and what sounds best to your ears. I also want you to hear this, and I'm going to point out some of the things. Now, I also have, this is an actual Gibson Les Paul, but this is not a copy. This is a Les Paul standard made by Gibson. And I could tell you a little bit about the differences between the Epiphone and the Gibson model. Okay? Now, this particular Epiphone was in, this is actually Tim's guitar. This was in the $500 to $600 range, okay? So it's like the mid-level, I think, or second-level Epiphone, not the one below it, which is in, I believe, the $250 to $350 range. I've played those. In fact, he's had one, and I didn't like those, and neither did he. That's why he brought it back. The problem with that guitar is it just would not stay in tune, even after it was set up. And some of the frets kept popping out. The strings were getting caught, especially the high underneath it, so they didn't do a very good job pressing in the frets. And overall, the quality just wasn't very good on that particular instrument. So he traded up for this one. This one, definitely a big jump up from the lower end Epiphone to the mid to upper end Epiphone. Definite difference in quality. Now, this is a very good guitar. I got it plugged into a little Line 6 Spider 1 amp. And it has that definite Gibson ballsy sound, unmistakable. It's heavy, maybe not as heavy as the Les Paul as this one, but it's pretty heavy. And it definitely feels like a Les Paul. You know, usually guitars seem to be divided into the Fender camps and the Gibson camps and whatnot. And this it certainly feels like a Gibson. And it sounds like a Les Paul too. It has that real Gibson ballsy kind of unmistakable kind of, you know, you just don't get that from many other guitars, you know, because of the weight and the density of the wood. Just playing some big open chords, you can hear that real, really, has that real thick kind of real thick Gibson-y kind of sound, Les Paul sound. Now, I was playing out of the back pickup here, and these pickups are actually pretty hot. This is one of the things I really like about this guitar, is the pickups sound really good. Not as hot as the Gibson Les Paul, but the Epiphone they're still pretty good. And the one thing I really like about this guitar, it has really good harmonic response. You know, you could really get those harmonics, artificial harmonics, to really stand. Really get those harmonics to. And I'm playing out again out of that back. Just so you could hear a little bit of what this guitar sounds like. I was just playing out of the back pickup. I like that pickup a lot on this guitar. If I play out of the neck pickup, okay, I could get that. So I have the tone knob dialed back also. I think it's so important when you're trying out guitars, try out all the pickup combinations and then back up on the tone knob, back up on the volume. You don't have to have everything on 10 all the time. You can get a lot of tonal varieties out of these guitars by just playing with right in here. I'm not touching the amp. See, this is all volume and tone. Like, for instance, here's the neck pickup now, which I like in playing a lot of leads with. And I have the tone all the way off. Now, if I put the tone all the way on, the difference. I like it kind of with the tone cut back. It has a little bit more of that milky. You know, has a. I really like that sound. You get that. There's that nice. Notice it's a sustain. A lot of really cool. A lot of really good sustain out of this guitar. It really can hold those notes and bend. I don't even have the amp that loud either, and the notes are sustaining really well. So really like the guitar for the harmonic response, for the hot pickups. It plays pretty well. Now I had to set this up. Had to get it set up right out of the gate from the store. It wasn't set up very well, and so normally even on the Gibsons, on the real ones, the non-copies, they're not set up for the most part that great either. So usually you're going to have to get them set up for them to play really nicely. And this has 11 gauge strings on it, which I like, the real thick gauge strings. What I don't like about this guitar is it doesn't stay in tune all that great. Okay, it comes out of tune a lot, especially the G string. And a lot of instances, it may not be the tuners, it might be the nut. Sometimes what happens is the strings bind in the nuts, and I've had to file nuts out so the strings don't bind with a set of nut files, and put a little graphite in there. A lot of times if you're binding up or if you're having trouble with that, try a little graphite. You could buy it in a little bottle and put the graphite, or just use some pencil shavings from a pencil. Pencil lead is made not of lead but of graphite and clay. So take a pencil, little chip, get some shavings from it and stick that in the nut and then underneath the string and rub that around, and that will help keep that from binding. And so in many instances you'll see people change the tuners to Grovers or something like that. They're a little better than these stock Epiphone tuners, or another type of tuner. But a lot of times, again, you could get it to stay in tune better. Like when I first bought this Les Paul, it didn't stay in tune at all. Okay, I had to reset up the whole guitar. I set up the bridge, the action, into everything. And then the nut needed work. I had to cut the nut and fit the strings better. The strings were binding, and now it stays in tune a lot better, a lot better. Not 100% like I like. I'm probably going to eventually have to change these tuners. These are really old, have a lot of play in them, but I tightened them up. But these are the old Kluson originals that come on this guitar. I think these are made in Germany, actually, the Klusons. So your guitars, you know, if it doesn't stay in tune right away, that could be fixed. In some instances, if the cheaper models, it's a sign that, well, maybe the neck is flexing. It's just not, the woods aren't as strong. But the copy Epiphone versus the Gibson is sound-wise is pretty close. The Gibson is a little bit, the pickups do scream a little bit more, and a little hotter, a little bit more character, but not bad. Remember, you're talking about with this guitar 3 times less the cost of this. You know, over time, this will hold its value more, and possibly appreciate where this one won't. But if you want to get that Les Paul sound, this is a very, very good opportunity at a very reasonable price. I wish it would stay in tune a little bit better. That's pretty much my only beef. The pickups are good. They could be maybe a little hotter, but they're pretty good. I really like the harmonic response and the dynamics, and this guitar is very sensitive to touch, which I really like with guitars. And it plays one setup pretty well. So if you get one of these, you might have to spend 30, 40 bucks on a setup, on either one. Get it set up, fix the nut. But overall, a pretty good guitar. It's heavy. Okay, not as heavy as this guy, but it is heavy. This one probably weighs 9 pounds, 8, 9 pounds, maybe a little more. Otherwise, difference in quality between these two, yes. You know, the frets, like I said, they're not pressed in as well. A little bit different feel on the neck than this. This is a little, you know, again, you're talking about difference in, you know, you get what you pay for it. But overall, a fine guitar. So if you want the sound of the Les Paul, but you don't want the price, so go to your nearest guitar store and play tons of guitars, like I always say, and find out what sounds best to your ears and what feels best in your hands. All right?